It's like, you're trying to follow everything happening with AI,
Mhm.
and it just feels like trying to, I don't know, drink from a fire hose.
Yeah, totally
Like
is.
one minute you think you've got a handle on something, and then bam, everything changes.
Right.
And well, NVIDIA's GTC 2025 just happened.
It did.
And let me tell you, it was a lot.
It was a lot to process, that's for sure.
Yeah, so if you're anything like me, maybe you could use I don't know, a clear path through all of the hype.
Right. Cut through the noise and get to the core of what matters.
Exactly.
Yeah, because NVIDIA, I mean, they're not just playing the game, right? They're kind of
Mm.
shaping the game
Right.
when it comes to AI and high performance computing.
Mm-hmm.
And GTC, this event, it's always the place where you see what's coming next, those big moves.
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, what we're going to do is pull out, I think, those key insights
Wow.
from all of the announcements.
Yeah.
Kind of those aha moments that'll leave you with a really solid understanding of where NVIDIA is headed, what their vision is.
Okay, so to do that, we've been going through all the information coming out of GTC 2025,
Right.
especially digging into Jensen Huang's keynote.
Of course. Yeah.
And we're going to bring you, really the core of what you need to know
Yeah.
about, their new GPUs, their platforms, and what it all means.
What it means exactly.
So let's just get right to it.
Let's do it.
First up, the Blackwell Ultra GB300.
Okay, so the first thing that jumps out at you with this one, I think, is just the raw performance.
Uh-huh.
This GPU is claiming 20 petaflops of AI power.
Okay, so for those of us maybe who need a little bit of a reference point,
Sure.
what does that actually mean? 20 petaflops.
Yeah, so just to give you a sense of scale, that's a 1.5 times increase over what we saw with the previous generation.
Oh, wow.
So that's a significant jump.
That's huge.
Yeah, and what that could translate to for you, in practical terms,
Yeah.
is, really slashing the training time for those big, complex AI models.
Okay.
The ones that are pushing the limits.
Right.
We could be talking about, taking things that used to take weeks to train and getting it down to days.
Oh, wow.
So it's a pretty big deal in terms of speeding up that whole AI development process.
Okay, and it's not just about, raw power though, right?
No, absolutely not.
It's also about how it can handle all of the data.
The data, yeah.
So this new GPU has 288 gigabytes of HBM3E memory.
That's right. And that's a lot of memory.
It is.
And that's really, really important because what it lets the GPU do is hold
Yeah.
and work with much, much bigger data sets far more efficiently. So you can almost imagine it like having this massive, super fast workspace right there next to the processor.
I see.
And as AI models are becoming more and more complex,
Right.
and the data they need just explodes,
Mm.
this kind of memory just becomes essential.
Okay, so it's like having a much bigger, faster pipeline to get everything where it needs to go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so when can we expect to see, this kind of power actually available?
So the current expectation is that the Blackwell Ultra GB300
Okay.
will be released in the second half of 2025.
Okay, so that's coming up relatively soon.
It is, yeah.
And it's looking pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But NVIDIA, they didn't stop there.
No.
They also introduced the Vera Rubin architecture.
Right.
And this just sounds like a real step change,
It really is.
Something completely different.
It's a whole new level.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that really stands out, at least for me, is the FP4 inference performance.
Okay.
And it's a massive 50 petaflops per chip.
No, I'm sure there are people listening who are like, wait, hold on.
Yes,
What is FP4 inference?
Right.
And why should I care?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So for those of us who, maybe aren't chip architects, FP4 basically refers to a way of representing numbers,
Okay.
but with lower precision in neural networks.
Okay.
So by using these less precise numbers, what you can do is perform calculations much, much faster
Okay.
and use less memory, especially when you're deploying AI models.
Okay.
So, you've trained the model, now you actually want it to run and make predictions out in the real world.
So this is after the training phase.
And this is after the training, exactly.
Got it.
So hitting 50 petaflops of FP4 inference per chip, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
What it suggests is that both training new AI models
Okay.
and then deploying those models in real-world applications
Yeah.
could see really, really significant speed improvements.
Wow.
So, we could see the pace of AI research just accelerate like crazy.
Yeah.
And also the AI that we interact with every day in our tools and services
Yeah.
could become much, much more responsive.
That's super interesting. Now, the memory on these Vera Rubin GPUs is also, kind of next level.
It is, yeah.
We're talking about 288 gigabytes of HBM4 memory.
That's right. And it's not just the size, it's also, how quickly the data can move in and out.
Right, the bandwidth.
The bandwidth, exactly.
Yeah.
So Vera Rubin goes from 8 terabytes per second
Oh,
to a whopping 13 terabytes per second.
okay.
So, if you think of bandwidth like lanes on a highway,
Okay.
more lanes just means a much, much faster flow of data.
I like that analogy, yeah.
So this quicker and larger memory is going to be absolutely crucial
Yeah.
for handling those really data-intensive
Yeah,
AI tasks.
right,
It just allows, much faster access to the information you need
right. Makes sense.
for all those complex calculations.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting for me.
Okay.
The Vera Rubin architecture integrates a custom-designed NVIDIA CPU
Yeah,
called Vera.
that's right.
And I'm curious about that,
Yeah.
Why go to all the trouble of making their own CPU?
Right.
What's the advantage there?
So I think it really points to, this focus that NVIDIA has
Yeah.
on creating tightly integrated high-performance AI systems.
Okay.
So by designing their own CPU,
Uh-huh.
that works specifically, hand in glove with the Rubin GPU.
Yeah.
Within that Vera Rubin architecture, they can really fine-tune
Right.
the pathways for data processing
Yeah.
and drastically reduce latency. So
And latency, that's just the delay.
exactly, it's the delay when data moves between different parts of the system,
Got it.
and that kind of optimization, leads to really significant performance gains.
Right. So it's kind of a holistic approach,
It is,
you
yeah.
know, where you're not just looking at individual components,
Right.
but how everything works together.
Exactly, and that's something that you just can't get with off-the-shelf components. I mean, it has to be designed from the ground up.
Okay, so when are we likely to see, systems powered by Vera Rubin?
The current expectation is sometime in the second half of 2026.
Okay, so we're on this trajectory
Yeah.
towards even more powerful systems.
Absolutely.
And then there's the Vera Rubin Ultra,
Right.
which kind of sounds like they just took Vera Rubin
Yeah.
and just amplified everything.
I would say that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like they took the concept and said, okay, how do we make this even bigger?
Yeah.
So the Vera Rubin Ultra essentially multiplies the power of a single Vera Rubin GPU
Okay.
by packaging 4 of these GPUs together.
Wow.
They're aiming for up to 100 petaflops of FP4 performance.
Okay, so just to put that in perspective
Yeah.
for people.
It's mind-blowing, really.
Yeah.
And I think this really shows you the kind of massive scalability
Mhm.
that NVIDIA is targeting.
Yeah.
They're creating these incredibly powerful building blocks for future AI infrastructure.
It's almost hard to wrap your head around 100 petaflops
It is, yeah.
and the memory to support that.
Right. You've got to have the memory.
It must be equally massive.
It is, yeah. So the Vera Rubin Ultra comes with a truly staggering
Yeah.
1 terabyte of HBM4E memory.
Wow.
So just try to visualize, the sheer amount of information
Yeah.
that this system could hold and process incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
It's designed for those truly enormous AI workloads
Right.
that are really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah, it's hard to even imagine what those workloads will look like
It is, yeah.
in a few years.
Yeah, I mean, who knows where we're going to be at that point.
Yeah,
It's exciting, though.
it is, yeah. And so when can we expect to see this ultimate powerhouse?
So the anticipated release for Vera Rubin Ultra is the second half of 2027.
Okay, so that's a little bit further out.
It is, yeah.
It's still, on the horizon.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's quite a roadmap they've laid out.
It is. It's ambitious.
Yeah, and even further down the line.
Yeah.
We got a glimpse of the Feynman architecture coming in 2028.
Yeah, they teased that a little bit.
Yeah, and it really feels like this rapid pace of performance improvements is just going to continue.
I think that's the clear message they're sending.
Yeah.
Even with just this brief mention of Feynman,
Right.
it shows that they're committed to this drive to push the limits of what's computationally possible
Yeah,
for AI.
it's incredible.
It is.
Now let's go back to this idea of the Vera CPU
Okay.
and the Rubin GPU working together.
Yeah.
They're calling this an AI superchip platform.
Right.
So what are the real world benefits, you
Yeah.
know, of having this kind of tightly integrated system?
So the core advantage is really about maximizing how efficiently the system can compute and perform overall.
Yeah.
Especially for those really demanding AI tasks
Okay.
when you've got a CPU and GPU that are designed to work together so closely.
Yeah.
Minimize those bottlenecks.
Right.
And you create this much more optimized flow of data and instructions.
So again, it's not just about individual components,
Yes.
but how they work together.
It's the whole being greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what kind of AI tasks would you say would really see the biggest benefit from this integrated superchip platform?
So think about, you know, training those massive, large-scale language models.
Okay.
The ones that power, you know, really advanced chatbots, and that can generate, you know, incredibly realistic text.
Yeah.
These models require just enormous amounts of computation and data.
Okay.
Similarly, applications like, you know, autonomous vehicles
Right.
that need to process these vast streams of real-time sensor data.
Right. Constantly.
Yeah, or really complex scientific simulations. Those
Yeah.
would also see significant gains from this kind of integrated power.
Got it. So things that require just a ton of processing.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so NVIDIA is clearly pushing the envelope with core AI processing.
For sure.
But GTC wasn't just about the silicon.
No, it wasn't.
Right. They also had some really interesting announcements in the world of robotics
They did.
and simulation.
Yeah.
So tell us about Blue.
So Blue is really interesting because it's an example of how these advancements in AI are actually becoming tangible in the physical world.
Right.
So it's a humanoid robot
Okay.
that was developed through this collaboration between Disney Research and Google DeepMind.
Oh, wow.
So that's a pretty impressive team right there.
It is.
And it's a showcase, you know, of the cutting edge in robotics, and
Okay.
it's demonstrating sophisticated AI for things like understanding its environment,
Okay.
planning movements, and controlling its actions.
A humanoid robot. I mean, it
Yeah.
still feels a little bit like science fiction.
Yeah,
Becoming reality.
It does, yeah.
And they also introduced a new physics engine called Newton.
They did.
So what's the purpose of that?
So the Newton physics engine, it's designed to really improve
Oh,
how robotic systems are developed and tested.
okay.
So by providing, you know, more realistic and accurate simulations of the physical world,
Mm-hmm.
it allows, you know, engineers and researchers
Yeah.
to create these virtual environments
Right.
where robots can be trained and tested and refined
Okay.
much more efficiently and safely than just building and experimenting with physical robots.
I see.
So it can really speed up
Makes sense.
the development of, you know, more advanced and reliable robots.
It's like, you know, work out all the kinks
Yeah.
in the virtual world
In the virtual world first.
before you actually have to, you know, worry about
Right. Exactly.
damaging anything in the real world.
Yeah, it's much cheaper to break a virtual robot
Exactly.
than a real one.
Okay. Now, shifting gears a little bit.
Okay.
NVIDIA also talked about some interesting software innovations,
They did, yeah.
including NVIDIA Dynamo.
Right.
What is that all about?
So NVIDIA Dynamo, it's an open source software system,
Okay.
and it's focused on inference.
Okay.
And the main idea is to make it easier to efficiently scale AI models.
Okay.
You know, you might have this fantastic AI model, but actually deploying it
Yeah.
to handle a large number of users
Right.
or a huge amount of data in real world applications,
Yeah.
that can be a real challenge.
Yeah.
So Dynamo is designed to streamline that process,
Okay.
you know, improve the performance and scalability of AI once it's put into practice.
So it's kind of like the bridge between
Yeah.
that incredibly powerful hardware
Yeah.
and the everyday application.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
It's taking that raw power and making it practically useful.
Right, because it's one thing to have, you know, the power,
Yeah.
but you have to be able to use it.
You'd have to be able to actually deploy it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they also announced a significant partnership
They did.
in the automotive industry.
Yes.
With General Motors.
With General Motors, that's right.
So what's happening there?
So this collaboration, I think, really highlights how how crucial AI is becoming
Yeah.
in the automotive world.
Yeah, yeah.
NVIDIA is working directly with General Motors
Okay.
to integrate custom AI systems into their self-driving vehicles.
So this isn't just,
Well,
entertainment
I mean,
system.
this is the
This
core.
is like, the brains of the operation.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about making the cars smarter
Yeah.
and hopefully safer.
Right.
So it's a very concrete illustration of how NVIDIA's technology
Yeah.
is having this really wide-ranging impact
Right.
across different sectors.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see
It is.
how these advancements are touching, so many different areas of
Yeah.
of life.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, here's an interesting point.
Despite all these, seemingly groundbreaking announcements, NVIDIA's stock actually declined by over 3%
Yeah,
during the presentation.
it did. Yeah,
So what do you make of that?
that's a really good observation, and it's interesting, right?
It is.
Because while the technological progress is clearly significant,
Yeah.
the immediate market reaction kind of suggests
Uh-huh.
that investors might be, exercising some caution
Okay.
amidst broader market conditions.
Right. So maybe there's something else going on.
There could be a lot of factors at play.
Yeah.
Investors taking profits, wider concerns about the economy,
Yeah.
or perhaps, even this feeling that these long-term developments
Mhm.
were already factored into the stock price.
I see.
So, it's a good reminder, I think, that the stock market's response
Yeah.
isn't always a direct reflection of the underlying technology.
Right. It's a much more complex picture.
Exactly.
So just to kind of recap.
What we've seen here, we've seen some major advancements in their core architectures
Yeah.
with Blackwell Ultra GB300,
Mm-hmm.
Vera Rubin,
Right.
and a glimpse into the future with Feynman.
It tease.
Yeah, and all of this is pointing towards just continuous and significant improvements in performance and memory.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to keep up.
It is. It's moving fast.
Yeah.
And the integration of the Vera CPU
Yeah.
with the Rubin GPU into that AI superchip platform.
Uh-huh.
That's a key step
Yeah.
towards being able to tackle those really demanding AI workloads
Right.
that require these really high levels
Uh,
of computational power and efficiency.
okay.
And we also saw that exciting progress in robotics
Yeah.
with Blue and those enhanced simulation capabilities
Yeah.
offered by the Newton Physics Engine.
Yeah.
Plus, those practical software innovations like NVIDIA Dynamo.
And their growing involvement in the automotive industry with GM,
Yeah.
all of that really demonstrates the real world impact
Yeah.
of their AI technologies.
So it's really a comprehensive vision, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, they're thinking about it from the fundamental building blocks of silicon
Right.
all the way to how AI is going to be applied
Uh-huh.
across, a wide range of industries.
It's really impressive.
It is.
So, for everyone listening,
Yeah.
considering all of these remarkable leaps in AI power,
Uh-huh.
the faster GPUs, the integrated CPUs,
Yeah.
the advancements in memory and software,
Right.
what do you think will be the most transformative application of this new wave of AI
Yeah.
in the coming years? It's a lot to consider.
It is, and it's really exciting to think about
It is. It really is.
because I don't think we can even imagine
No.
where this is all going to lead.
It's going to be an interesting few years.
It is, yeah.
For sure.
Definitely.
Well, thanks for breaking it all down.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I think we got through it.
I think so.
Hopefully everyone listening is now a little bit more informed about what happened at GTC.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, and what to look forward to
Exactly.
in the future.
Absolutely.
All right, well, we'll see everyone next time.
Sounds good.